Hi there, folks. Thank you for tuning in back to Prism's 50th anniversary video series. This is going to be part 3, and we'll be taking a look at Prism Future and kind of what we hope to accomplish in the future, some goals that we have, and how excited we are to keep this organization running. If you missed the first two parts in Prism Past and Prism Present, we'll have that in a playlist in the description for you, or we'll have that in our bios for our social medias. But either way, we hope you enjoy this video. We hope you enjoy the past ones. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and let our interviewer and our interviewee introduce themselves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Trevin. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm the current president of Prism.
Oh, should I introduce myself? I didn't know.
Yes.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Bettie Mattison-Ferris. I am the current co-advisor for Prism, and I've been with Prism for about the past year or so now.
Well, that's great. That was one of our first questions, like what time frame you were in Prism. So you've been here for the past year. Uh, since you've been here for the past year, what would you consider to be like a major accomplishment?
Mm. I think in Prism, what I've seen for the past year is a willingness to change, um, open to feedback, open to dialogue. I think it's become a space more of conversation, um, and at least intentionality, as far as programming, as far as initiatives and things we want to at least have a voice and opinion about.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Um, Especially like in this like COVID time, I think we've had a lot of focus on that because we were allowed to. It,
Mm-hmm.
it became a less about like making sure we have a room and making sure we do this and do that and uh, focusing on like that intentionality part.
Okay.
Um, since you've been here for a year, we definitely have some memories. What's one of your favorite memories being here in prison?
Hmm. One of my favorite memories, honestly, for me, um, my favorite memory was you all being excited for me as your advisor. Like honestly, it was I didn't expect it. I didn't even know you all were paying attention to me or even like I mean, I know you and I cuz we've had conversations, but like I didn't even know who most of them like remember me or anything, and I think that made it really easy to transition into being you all's advisor, and it's been nice to have that familiarity with y'all this year and just feel like more than advisor a little bit. Like it doesn't feel so rigid. It doesn't feel like, a power thing. It just feels like we're learning with each other and it's been really great. So I think that's been my favorite.
Oh, that's so great. I remember when we like when we were looking for another advisor and I'm not sure if it was me or Katie who recommended you, but it was like we were super excited from like the jump, and I'm glad that's like one of your favorite things.
Oh goodness.
So, as your time like as an advisor, what is something that you're like really proud of?
Honestly, as an advisor, I'm really proud of you as the president. Um, because you make being an advisor easier. You know a lot of things. You know how to run meetings well. You know how to keep folks on task. You are really resourceful. You're really timely. Like honestly, I think that you are a great president, and I'm really proud of you. Honestly.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wasn't expecting that. It's good to like know that I'm doing a good job, like that affirming thing. And so I'm really glad that you're proud of me. And I would say I'm also proud of you. Like I remember doing the Eisner Award thing and just seeing all the things you've done, and I'm like, oh, Betty's just out here doing it. So like for like it's
Oh
mutual
goodness.
for sure.
Oh goodness. We're fans of each other. I love it. I love it.
Yes,
It's a great
we love to see
relationship.
it. So in your time being here at NIU, what has the campus climate been
Mm. That's really interesting. I've been here at NIU since 2015.
Mhm.
And when I got to campus, it was fairly diverse. Um,
Mhm.
so I went to school at a small Catholic school, which was way less diverse than NIU. So I think as far as diversity of perspective, of culture, of language, all of that, I think NIU is pretty diverse. I will say what I've seen over the past, well, since Lisa Freeman was president, which I think is like 2 or 3 years now, there has been a lot more vocal support for students and vocal support for diversity and action items. She's helped push a lot of things forward and make it come to fruition. So I think that having her has really changed the campus climate. At the very least, people trust that she will listen and be open to feedback and figure out ways that we can work together to make NIU's campus better. So that's something that I think has been a really positive shift on campus,
Mhm.
particularly for students who have different experiences, right? Like several and multiple experiences, like me and myself, and you and I have talked about some of that. um it's nice to know that you don't have to silo a part of yourself and like be more vocal about that one thing on campus and choose to suppress the other thing. So that's been really nice.
Yeah, for sure. In the like few short interactions I've had with President Freeman, like she is very good at like including student voices and hearing us and seeing us and trying to make that change happen. And especially on NIU's campus. And speaking of impact, what do you think your impact on Prism has been, and what do you want that impact to be in the future?
I think, wow, that's such a big question for me. My impact on Prism, I don't know. I like to think that I create an environment that is comfortable, that feels supported, that empowers you all to voice your opinions, your thoughts, to share with me. I mean, any thoughts and feedback that I can do, or how I can be more supportive as an advisor. I think that collaboration is really important. And I think that any advisor with this organization should have that. Anybody who takes over in the future, or any future students, like, you should be able to trust your advisor, and I should be able to trust you all, and that should be a working relationship. So I think if we continue that into the future, Prism can be really, really powerful, particularly because as an advisor, I have a lot of connections to things. We have a lot of conversations about things that doesn't necessarily trickle down to students sometimes, and vice versa. So I think that makes for a very dynamic organization, and it's a good space to like brainstorm ideas and thoughts that folks maybe not have thought of, but you have the support behind you to do it even if you've never done it before, type of thing. So do
Yeah,
you agree?
definitely, I agree. Yeah, I do. I do
Nice.
agree.
Nice.
You're you're like a really great advisor. I can't
Well,
stress
thank
that
you.
enough. Like even like before you were advisor, just like your involvement, like here and there in Prism, like as in my time as president, has been really helpful. Like we worked on that whole like pushing forward more QT content and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
that's come to fruition in different ways and things
true,
like that. And
true.
so for sure, I um.
Yeah.
So you said that you've been here since 2015 at NIU, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure you've seen Prism grow and do different things.
Hmm.
So what are some impacts that you've seen outside of your time in Prism that Prism has done?
I think that I will say before I became involved with Prism, I saw a lot of conversations about how to be intersectional in thought, and how to consider other folks' experiences, which I really liked. Um, I think that there was a lot of good leadership as far as advocacy for queer and trans students that was happening, and it was very student driven, right? It wasn't like a um, a faculty voice or anything like that. It was students doing that work. And I really liked seeing that from afar. And it made me really happy to know that I could even see where Prism was going, right? Like I could tell that, there was a lot of potential in this organization, even though I was very distantly, connected, close but distant at the same time. So
Mhm.
it was nice to still be able to see that presence of Prism, even if I wasn't directly involved.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So since we're talking about like the impacts of Prism and things like that, um, what do you see? What do you want to see in the future as far as like NIU and Prism relationship, and like
Mm.
how do you want to see Prism play a role and impact on campus?
I wish Prism would grow as an organization. I would want to see like 50 students in Prism in the next, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years, because I think that as our student demographics are going to change, right? Like they're going to continue to change, and I think there's a lot of room for collaboration, whether that's cross identity or culture. I think that I come across different students who are queer and trans in different spaces, and they're not necessarily even aware of Prism, or, they maybe aren't interested at first because they don't know what it is and they don't know what we do per se. And I'm always like, wow, if we had people like you in Prism, like, think about what types of events we could have, what types of support systems. For one, you would have numbers, right? So it wouldn't feel so stressful sometimes, or even feel like burnout is more prevalent. So I think I would want to see Prism as a dynamic, really like healthy number of students, and students from various experiences, whether that's um, also students who are undocumented or students who are differently abled. I want to be able to see some of that different perspective come from Prism that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely like a power in numbers, and I remember when I was interviewing Jeannie, and she talked about like how there was a large number
Hmm.
of like prison folks and how like great of a time that they had.
Hmm.
Um, and like speaking of that history, what do you since we're doing like this past, present, future type series, um, what does Prism past, Prism history mean to you?
I think I mentioned I heard in Jeannie's interview that she was talking about something similar to like shake the table, right? Like somebody's gonna tell you no, probably, and unofficially as your advisor, like sometimes you gotta just get what you need to get done. And I think that's what the history teaches us is, there was a lot of times where we had to fight for what we have now, whether that's a physical space,
Hmm.
or presence on campus, or even a commission geared towards our issues, our concerns. All of that was advocated for by the students, and I think that we should keep that in mind as our needs change as an organization, and what we might look to as a supportive solution, right, for things that we want on campus. I think we should remember that there is more than one way to get something done, and you might just have to be creative about that approach.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think that's always my answer to like past questions. Like, what should you take from the past? And it's that exact thing. Like,
Hmm.
people have shook things up. People have pushed the envelope, and that's how we got to where we're at.
Hmm.
So continue doing that, and we'll get it even further. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely I agree with that. Thinking more about the future now, or I guess not about the future, but like Prism's longevity. Like we're 50 now.
Hmm.
How does that feel?
You know, I wish we could celebrate in person. I feel like the history of LGBTQ culture is very loud, right? I wish we could just like party and really celebrate, because it is iconic to be on a campus for 50 years. That is a lifetime for a lot of people. And It shows that we are resilient. It shows that we are relevant to a lot of folks and we are still necessary on campus. So I think that it makes me really hopeful about another 50 years. And I think that, it's a big milestone and I'm really happy that we have that going on.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And then I guess I have one last question for you. Like, what does the future mean to you? Like Prism's future, and I guess like, what do you want your role to be in that?
I think the future is healing. Um, I think an organization like Prism has a lot of potential to be a healing space.
Mm,
I know as students who are and people who are minoritized, we do a lot of work to fight for things, right? And we don't necessarily take care of ourselves a lot of the time. And I think that because we are more of a culture as far as millennials and after us, because I think we do a lot of work around healing ourselves and having conversations and figuring out how the past affects our futures. And I think my role in that would be to, in addition to being an advisor, being a source of support. And that
mm,
means more than just administratively, right? Like in people's lives, people's professional lives, whether that's personal or professional. I think for me, I would feel really connected in that way to have a more relatable experience with students. For me that's more fulfilling than anything else, is being able to be somebody where if you are in a crisis, you know that you can come to me with it and you trust me with that. And I think that I'm honored by students who think that about me. So I think that's my role in it.
yeah. You're already on your way.
Okay.
I'll let you know that. Like, I think we have a pretty good relationship. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you agree, but I
Agree.
definitely think so. And you're definitely doing that now, and I can't wait to see it in the future and everything like that. But with that, that has been the interview. Are there any final thoughts that you have?
No, I think just final thoughts is congratulations, Prism. Um, I hope that we get to celebrate soon, but I think everybody should be proud of how far we've come.